up, I'm in the club, doing the Bin Laden. Hey, holla at a bitch now, getting twisted off a syrup with a little crystal.
What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Maximilian Must Know. I think you guys know that I love covering new houses and indie houses. The indie houses are absolutely some of my favorite episodes, but I also really like going back and paying homage and respecting the architects of this hobby, for which I am so grateful to and so passionate about. And today we have one of those houses, and while it's not that old in terms of years, the gentleman who started the house, Jean-Francois Laporte, is a true pioneer in the niche perfumery world. He started what many believed to be the first niche house in the world, in L'Artisan Parfumé, which in my book is a top 5 niche house, and then in the late 1980s created another extremely important house in Maitre Parfumeur at Gantier. And I don't think that this house gets the Fracom hype and love that it deserves, especially considering that they make top quality scents for very wallet friendly prices. And so today we're going to be talking about what very well may be their most popular scent, an Ambre Precieux. And my first interaction with this house was back in January of last year, of 2013, when I bought a huge collection of niche samples from a Badger and Blade forum member. There were about 4 from MPG in there, but none of them really blew me away. And then I didn't really see too many reviewers putting fragrances from this house in top lists, or even just reviewing them for that matter, so I kind of just forgot about them. And then when winter came, I started to realize that I really like amber scents. Hardcore amber scents like Ambre Rousse and Ambre Absolute and Opus 6, and sweet and powdery amber scents like Ambre 114. And I wanted to get more, and in doing some research, I learned that this fragrance right here has some of the highest scored reviews on Fragrantica and Base Notes. So I said to myself, I gotta check this one out. And so I was prepared to either go to Mint or Oswald and pick this scent up, but for shits and giggles, I checked Amazon and saw that they had this scent available for $79, and I blind bought it. So before we get into the fragrance, let's briefly discuss the house and its inception. As I said, the house was created by Jean-Francois Laporte in 1988. The inspiration was the great French perfume houses of the 17th century, and back then scented gloves were a very trendy item among the elite and the aristocracy. And so the king introduced the term glove and perfume master, and that's what the name translates to, Maitre Parfumeur Gantier. And they have a beautiful flagship location in Paris. I don't think they sell gloves there, but at least I don't think they do. I'm not really sure. But they definitely sell their fragrances, and they make some great ones. In 1997, Jean-Francois Laporte left the brand, and his former apprentice and protege, Jean-Paul Millet-Lage, took over. And they have quite a catalog of scents, including men's and women's scents, as well as some unisex scents. There are 44 in the library, the earliest going back to 1988, and the most recent in 2012. And the fragrance we're talking about today is called Ambre Precieux, which translates to precious amber. And this is from their Les Parfums de Lavant collection. And this is a 1988 release. Jean-Francois Laporte is the nose behind this fragrance, and the notes on this are myrrh and lavender at the top, nutmeg and vanilla in the middle, amber with tolu and Peru balsam wood in the base. And even though this retails for about 130 at places like Mint, you can find deals on this fragrance and many of the MPG fragrances for that matter. As I said, I was able to pick this up on Amazon for about $80, so a nice discount. As far as your presentation goes, something a little weird. So you have the box, right? It has the name, eau de toilette concentration, 100 ml, 3.3 ounces. Ingredients, nothing really going on in the back. Barcode and batch code on the side. Again, just some information here, the phone number of the flagship and the address, nothing on the top. But then as far as your bottle goes, I do like the bottle. It's sort of got like a faux ruby here and a nice big gold cap, but it really doesn't say the fragrance name anywhere, right? So you got this bottle. The only place it does is on the bottom. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that to focus. Yeah, I think you could see enough that it does say Amber, but if this sticker comes off, I'm pretty sure you might not know what fragrance this is, and so I really don't like that. I think it should be on the cap or somewhere. That's just me, because if you have a bunch of these, it might get difficult to figure out which one you're trying to use, or for that day, you have to be looking through the bottoms. The atomizer is great. It shoots a really nice even distribution of scents. So I do like the presentation. I think it looks great in like a library of scents. It stands out, but I wish that the bottle actually had the fragrance name on it, which, you know, I don't think is asking that much. Now, the first time you're going to notice when you spray this fragrance is how powdery and sweet the amber is. It's totally in the opposite direction of a fragrance like Ambre Rousse by Parfum to Empire. This smells a lot more like Ambre 114 by Histoire de Parfum. If you've ever smelled that, this is very much like it. It's not a sicky sweet amber. It's not amber narguilé sweet. Sweetness here comes from the powdery part of the fragrance. I think it almost gives the illusion of being sweet, perhaps more than it is actually sweet, if that makes sense to you. Sometimes not being able to really tease out individual notes in a fragrance can be a sign of cheap ingredients. And while I think it's a bit difficult to pull apart notes in this guy, I think that's just probably due to really good blending. And this, as well as most Jean-Francois Laporte fragrances, are expertly blended. You know, there's myrrh in here. Myrrh's a note that I've really taken to recently. So I get the myrrh, I get the vanilla and nutmeg in this. But to me, this is really more of an amalgamation than it is a bunch of different notes. And a lot of amber scents are like that, now that I really think about it. Ambers and parfums, as we talked about before, usually refers to a blend of vanilla with different resins. And that definitely comes across here. Sweet ambers are sometimes referred to as creamy and buttery, and that holds true here as well. To me, this is more creamy than buttery, but I can see how someone would use either adjective to describe this. It's fairly linear, but as it dries down, I think it actually gets even more powdery through its progression. I do not get a lot of lavender in this scent. As I said, you get the nutmeg and you get vanilla and you get woods. And that's all there throughout the fragrance from beginning to end. And if you're looking for a nice powdery sweet amber that is calm and predictable, or you want a cheaper alternative to Ambre 114, this is going to do really well for you. I have a bit of a gripe with this one. Longevity on me is pretty darn good. I'll get 6 to 8 hours fairly easy, but projection is lacking. It just never jumps off my skin, and sometimes that's good and sometimes it's bad. It obviously depends on what you're looking for. I like amber scents that are a bit louder, like Ambre Absolute and Opus 6. But I think at this price for 100 ml, it's hard to complain. It's not an EDP, it is an EDT, so maybe I shouldn't be expecting an amazing projection, but I do think it should be a little bit better than this. That's just me, though. This is also not a very versatile scent. I think that there are times and places for amber scents. You have to pick and choose them, and then obviously once the weather warms up, it's hard to wear ambers. This could be unisex. If a woman likes amber, she could definitely pull this off, I think, because of the powderiness here. But I think it's probably better for a guy. And so what is the takeaway here? Well, one, I need to check out more from MPG. You know, L'Artisan under Laporte did some really non-ostentatious good scents. And I have a feeling that that's the same ethos here and what you're going to start getting from this house. And of course, because so many fragrances from the house are available for under $100, it just makes it all that much more appealing. Secondly, if you're looking for a good niche sort of starter amber, this is a great option, especially at the price point. In terms of rating, it's a clear 6 out of 10 for me. I'm glad it's in my collection. I feel like it was a good blind buy, but it's not that versatile. It bothers me that the bottle doesn't have a fragrance indication aside from the sticker, and there are projection issues with this one, and it's not the most unique thing I've ever smelled, but it's a solid, very good scent, and at this price point, it's hard to argue that this fragrance has some real merit in the niche amber world. So anyway, that is this week's episode of Maximilian Must Know. I implore you to check out this fragrance and just the entire line for Maitre Parfumeur Gantier. You're gonna learn, you're gonna smell something, you're gonna smell a history of fragrances, and I think that's really important that we all go back and sort of pay homage to these very important people that help shape the world that we all enjoy so much of. So stay tuned. 2 episodes coming up next week, and we'll see you guys sooner than later. I want to thank you all so much for watching. I obviously
drink a cup of black tea while I sip my bourbon, chillin' in my wifey, and I stay swerving. I always feel nice, be a nigga never